What is a healthy diet anyway? In this video, I'm going to break down what it actually means to eat a healthy, balanced diet. Hi, my name is Libby Parker. I'm a registered dietitian specializing in eating disorder recovery. If you've been following my other videos, you've seen me talk a lot about what not to do in terms of dieting. For this video, I want to explain what we should do, based in science and realistic living for your best physical and mental health. First, let's talk about balancing macronutrients. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on macronutrients for the purpose of this video. I'm assuming you know a little bit about our three macronutrients, which again are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, and generally what foods contain these. What I do want to cover is proportionally how much of these humans need to optimally function, assuming you're eating adequate calories. The macronutrient that we need the most of is carbohydrates. Carbs should make up 45 to 65% of our calorie intake, with the lower end of this range being more appropriate for certain individuals like those with diabetes and Olympic weightlifters, and the higher end of this range for endurance athletes like runners and dancers. Now, I do want to clarify that there is not one perfect diet for every individual, which is why we have ranges. So up next, protein should make up approximately 10 to 35% of our diet, and fat about 25 to 35%. So these ranges depend again on individual needs, with higher protein during growth phases like growing children, building muscle, body repair from injury or illness. And fat will take up the remainder of your intake, depending mostly upon how much carbohydrate and protein you're eating. Quick tip: alcohol is the only other calorie-containing molecule, and the only one we don't require to live. If you drink, please drink responsibly and in moderation. Okay, so that's proportionally how much we need. But how do we do that? We don't need to make it difficult. I think it's important to remember that prior to the 1990s, we did not have mandated nutrition facts labeling on foods, and counting calories and macros is relatively new in the grand scheme of human existence. So a great tool is MyPlate. What we want to focus on rather than numbers is having generally balanced meals and days. The United States Department of Agriculture, who previously brought you the food pyramid, made figuring out proportions of food visually easier by releasing MyPlate as an update to the food pyramid. MyPlate is a great visual reminder that our meals should have foods from different food groups and have lots of color. I'll post a link to the MyPlate website in the description so that you can get more information. So basically what it is a plate showing meal proportions of about half your meal coming from produce, quarter from grain or starch, and a quarter from protein, with a good source of calcium such as dairy 3 times a day, and fat in our foods are used to cook the foods. Now, our meals do not all need to look perfectly like this, but it's a good guideline to make sure that your macros are being met. Now, MyPlate does not visually show snacks, which are an important part of people's normal eating pattern. You don't have to avoid snacks. They keep us from getting too hungry between meals, can fill nutrient gaps, and honestly, they often just taste good. We do want to spread out food over the course of the day rather than eating 1 or 2 large meals and then fasting the rest of the time. Our body wants a relatively constant trickle of nutrients coming in rather than a lot at once. Because of the way we process food with enzymes, vitamins, and cofactors in our cells, it can be quite overwhelming to our body to process a lot at once. More will be stored as fat when food is eaten all at once rather than when it's spread out over the day. Also, once calories are stored as fat in the body, they can only be used for energy, which is still a good thing, but we can't repurpose them back into proteins, which make up body tissues, hormones, enzymes, and regulate fluid balance between cells. So you can't really make up for not eating all day with a large meal. We also need to eat our vitamins and minerals on a daily basis, such as our B and C vitamins, which are water-soluble and don't store up in the body. A quick tip: if you're someone who forgets to eat, set alarms on your cell phone to remind you to stop and eat something. Additionally, packing food with you, meal prepping, and having go-to meals that you always have ingredients on hand for can also help. An important thing to remember is that while trying to keep proportions balanced, all foods fit in a healthy diet. This can be a real mindset shift for some people who've dieted or been told they should believe that there are good and bad foods. Foods don't have a moral value. They can't be good or bad. This just accentuates that black or white thinking, which is a common cognitive distortion. If it's food safe, so there's no foodborne illness or whatever, it's not going to hurt you to eat it. I think the reason that many people have fear foods or believe that food is good or bad is they overeat or binge on these bad foods and find it's easier to just avoid them. This is really setting them up for disordered eating. When we deprive ourselves or say that we can't have something, that sets us up to want to have it more. If we're depriving ourselves of a specific food or enough food, we almost inevitably will overeat when our willpower runs out, which is typically at the end of the day. This is why most people binge or cheat on their diet at night. So we cannot rely on willpower, and honestly, if it takes that much work to stay at a certain weight, it's probably not what your body really wants you to be at. Body weight should be pretty easy to maintain. Also, if you incorporate all kinds of foods into your daily diet, you're far less likely to crave them or overeat. Quick tip, if it's overwhelming to think of incorporating a fear food, especially sweets, try this proven method. Have a portion of that food, for example, one cookie or a few pieces of chocolate, right before lunch. You finish your meal with something savory so that sweet taste is not still in your mouth, which makes it less likely that you're going to overeat that fear food. And by having it on a daily basis, you're taking away its power over you, and it becomes just another food. When we have a poor relationship with food in our bodies, it makes it much more likely that we'll hurt our health by not meeting our nutrient needs and/or binge eating. If we strip away the labels that we put on food and make it only part of our life and not the main part of our life, we're going to be much less stressed, healthier, and at a natural weight for our unique body. So I want to give you some main takeaways from this video. Number 1, we want to get our proportions in order. We need all of our macronutrients and we want them in balance. So remember that the majority of our calories should be coming from carbohydrates at 45 to 65% of our calories, proteins 10 to 35%, and fats at 20 to 35%. I also have a handy PDF printout that you can download by signing up for the Nutrition Education newsletter. Link is in the description below this video. Number 2, I want you to space your food out over the course of the day rather than eating 1 or 2 meals. Number 3, foods are not good or bad. All foods fit in a healthy diet, and the less you avoid them, the less power they have over you. Number 4, don't diet. Your body has natural hunger and fullness cues that you're born with, and if you truly listen, it'll take care of itself. This should also bring your weight to its natural happy weight that does not require a lot of work to maintain. Thanks so much for watching. If you learned something from this video, please give it a like and hit that subscribe button. Check out the links in the description below for more information on the topics covered in this video.